Hey, good morning. This is Zach Pratt. Well, it might be afternoon where you are, but it's morning where I am. And I'm here to share one of my recipes that I have in my Woodchuck Cookbook. So I've been putting this cookbook together since about 2013. So I've had a lot of practice, not all of it successful, but that's the thing about cooking. Some works a little bit better than other stuff works. So I'm here today to show you how I do my what I call roadkill chili. But my roadkill chili, there's too much snow, I couldn't find any roadkill hanging out, so I actually had to go with my clear cut chili, which is a step down version. And I actually go to the grocery store and pick up a lot of my supplies. So you're going to be getting the clear cut chili, and for all you tree huggers out there, I hope that it's really, really tasty to you. So I'm going to start by getting the sauce heated up, and I've already opened up all the cans, so you didn't have to do that. You get this wonderful set stove going. Yeah, there we go. Get stuff cooking. So these brands that you see are probably just brands that I got that were on sale, or whatever you happen to have works. But this is a can of whole tomatoes, so I put that right in there. Got a couple of cans of whole tomatoes, and it depends on how many people you're feeding. If you're only going to feed you and maybe one other person or just yourself, you don't need 2 cans, but I'm making this for a couple of people, 2 to 4 people. So I also have some diced tomatoes and sauce I'm putting right in there. Add it to the pot. And then, of course, just some sauce. So I get that in there and get that to start percolating. I give it a stir. Sometimes I like to break up the tomatoes, especially if you got a nice sharp spoon like this one. You can dice them whole tomatoes right in half or quarters, and they'll cook down a little bit anyways over time. Okay, so I got that stuff in there, rocking and rolling. Let me check the flame. Okay. So now it's time to add my vegetables. So over here I have some garlic that I crush and cut up into little small pieces. The smell of garlic, love it. So once you get that chopped up, as fine or as thick as you want, I'll put it right in the pot. There we go. So in my pot, I usually put garlic, fresh garlic, onion, pepper, and some celery. So some people like their celery cut thin. I do more of a chunky type chili. So I had 3 sprigs of chili there, celery there. So I'm going to put that right in the pot and get that started. And you mix that right in. So next I like to throw in a bell pepper, and I'm going to use about half a bell pepper here. And the way a lot of people do it is chop it up on the chopping block, but I like to take and do it right over the pot. Get the seeds out of there. And like I say, I like it chunky, so I have my favorite little paring knife here. Just go around, cut it up into chunks, variety of sizes, so don't be surprised. Oh, I love the smell of fresh peppers too. This whole thing, tomatoes, peppers, garlic, wow, whoop. Guess that's an escapee. So this part where you do the vegetables and the sauce and stuff really should take about an hour and a half to cook before I add the meat. But because we're working on a time limit here or constraints, I'm going to only do it for half an hour. So anyways, the next part is the onion, and I do that the same way. So I started cooking years ago. Being from a hunting family here in Vermont, I started hunting at an early age. My grandma Rabtoy is the one that taught me how to hunt. She had a single shot 22 that she let me carry through the woods. She wouldn't let me have any bullets in it. I was probably 9 or 10 years old at the time. We'd walk from her house down there in Clarendon, out across the swinging bridge and up on the long trail. And every once in a while she'd give me a short. She'd pull one out of her pocket, let me put it in the gun, and plink at something. So that's really how I got my introduction to the woods. She also gave me a lot of instruction on what to do when you're in the woods, like notice which direction the sun is, where the wind's coming from. She also said, you know, you have to turn around on occasion to look behind you to see where you'd been. So when you're coming back through, you might recognize some of the trees because they look different once you turn around as they do when you're walking forward. So she taught me a lot about hunting. So in high school, I think I was a freshman, got my first deer over in Castleton up on Blueberry Hill, and it was a nice little 3-pointer. So I had a Ruger 1022 that I was going to use, but my brother took that morning, so I was left with a single shot. So I got my first deer, a 3-pointer with a 22 single shot using long rifles. So I know it's illegal to use that today to get a deer or any game, but back in the early 60s, that's what I used. And I learned how to dress and skin and cook venison. So Grandma Rabtoy did a good job of teaching me that. So we'll let that stuff sit there and cook. So the next thing, you want to add some spices, and once again, these are just spices I have to have at home. Whatever you got and you're used to using, that's what I recommend. Let me move some of this stuff around here. So the next thing I'm going to put in there is some cumin. So I want to use about 1/8 of a tablespoon, or 1/2 a tablespoon. So just sprinkle that right on in there. And the thing about this is that you can change it and add more or less as you like. So we'll start there, and then we'll sample it as we go along. And then I got some red chili. So the chili is what I add more of than the cumin. So about 1.5 tablespoons of that. Get that stirred right in. And it should start to take on a darker color once you get that chili in there and stir it around. I keep chopping these tomatoes into smaller chunks. So I also put in a little bit of salt and pepper, not a lot of salt, not a lot of pepper, and I use some red pepper flakes. And once again, whatever you happen to have there at the house, or if you don't like a real spicy. My wife doesn't like a real spicy one, so just a little dab of salt. Add a little more pepper. There we go. And you got to be careful with the red pepper flakes. or maybe you don't, depending on how hot you like your chili. I don't know if you can see this, but I got like, I don't know, 10 or 12 little red pepper flakes. Put those right in there. There you go. And that's about all the spices I use, because you got the onions, you got the garlic, you got celery, you got your pepper and tomatoes all in there. So it really does need to cook and meld the flavors together and soften the vegetables up. So the next part, well, that's cooking, and really I'd let that simmer for about an hour and a half before I added any of the meat to it. But we're going to go ahead and get the meat cooking right now. So I have about 1.5 pounds of 80% hamburger here that I'm going to use. So I don't burn those up. Let's see, that one. This is a wonderful setup here. You got to come down and try cooking. I'm telling you. Get that heated. You can smell the stuff cooking. We cook at gas at home too, and I really like gas a lot better than electric, but I've cooked with both all. And while I'm thinking about that, I saw in the Rutland Herald the other day a cartoon by Danziger about a couple sitting there around their kitchen stove, and the guy is putting some wood chunks into one end of the stove, and you know, that's what I grew up with. My grandma Pratt had a stove just like that. And in the right or left hand facing it, left hand side of the stove, is where she would put the wood, the chunks of wood. And she used to get a lot of the chunks of wood from Tubbs factory down in Wallingford. They make axe handles and stuff out of ash. And she loved the ash. It was a nice constant heat, had good coals. And then on the other side, she had a coal, where she cooked with coal. So every once in a while, besides bringing in the coal to put in the stove, she'd let me shake the thing down too. So did some shaking. And the ashes from coal, back in the day, we used to use that instead of salt. And it was really gritty and had good traction. So we took that out and spread it on the path. Maybe I should have put a smaller batch in there to get it cooking. So you have to modify and be ready as you go along. So I also got the opportunity to go out and spread the ash on the walkways around the house and to the barn. I'll leave it be. So while that's cooking, I got this piece of beef here. I'm going to cut into cubes. And then again, you can cut these chunks as big or as small as you like. I like stuff a little bit thicker. So I've entered a lot of chili cook-off contests over the years, and I'm surprised at everybody else's chilies. I've eaten a lot of other wonderful chilies besides my own. And when I was out west, first of all, you don't add vegetables like that, it's all powder. And you don't add chunks of beef like this, it's all hamburger. And chili sauce, so. I think I got that burner. That's the burner. Switching burners here. So in the contest, it'd be a blind contest. You'd have a number and you put your chili out. Probably people knew who cooked what chili anyways, but the chili that would usually win was what I would consider the greasiest chili you could possibly find in the world. There was like that much grease on the top of just a thing full of hamburger sauce, but that's called Texas chili. And if you put a bean in it, then there's no way out west somebody's going to eat your chili if it has a bean in it. So quickly learning how to modify. I did win some chili cooking contests by not adding any beans or any vegetables to it other than chili and cumin. So I don't know what that tells you, but anyway, I was surprised. Now, when you add the meat to my chili, that also cooks for another hour and a half. So just simmer it. And because of the sweetness in the tomatoes, and I have some brown sugar over there I'm going to add while that's cooking. And you can add whatever sugar you have, or Splenda, or whatever you like, but I kind of like brown sugar. It darkens up the chili, gives it a sweet taste, knocks down a little bit of the acidity. Good. So we'll save the rest of that hamburger for later. I'll get this stuff cooking. And I like cooking with butter. So we'll throw a little bit of butter in there. It's going to get smoky in here for a little bit, but you want to be able to hear me. So a little bit of salt and a little more pepper to this. Don't want to have the fire department, rolling fire department coming down and taking care of my cold cut chili. Although I'd be glad to feed the fire department if they want to come on down. It's not a 3-alarm chili, I'll tell you though. It's only like a 1-alarm chili. So don't bring the ladder brigade. Anyway, it's always fun cooking on somebody else's stove for the first time. But it's a wonderful setup, don't get me wrong. So if it's not completely cooked up, you know that's all right, because you're going to be tenderizing it and cooking it another hour and a half after this. So there, we'll get all the meat in the pot here. So there, that's a real meaty, chunky, thick. And we haven't even got the beans in there yet. So the miracle of cooking stuff the night before, I have a pan of chili that I've been preparing at home last night. It's got the same ingredients, same method. Let's see, turn that down. And but it hasn't got the beans added yet. So I don't know if you can see it. There you go. And it's got a darker color to it because it's been cooking longer, cooking down. So whatever kidney beans, and actually all kinds of different beans work in this, but I like light or red, dark red kidney beans. So this is some light kidney beans I'm putting in this one. And what I did was I also washed the kidney beans a couple of times. You don't have to. If you leave the beans with the stuff that's in the bottom, it does thicken the chili up, and I'll put the dark red ones in that pot. So usually I put the beans in for the last 20 minutes of cooking. So this is going to get a short 6-minute cooking of beans, but that'll be all right. Stir them around, put them in there. So I brought this jar along so that you can take any, if you're cooking and you have left over, you can always fill up a jar, put it in your freezer. So you can serve this up with all sorts of extras. I got some onions here that I'm going to sprinkle on my chili. I like sharp cheddar cheese, the white kind if you can find it. Here in Vermont it's not too hard to find the white stuff, but out west, so oof. Anyways, yellow cheddar. So where'd my spoon go? Fill the bowl up. Take your cheddar. Sprinkle some onions. And I have the circular Ritz crackers and premium, or whatever the saltines are. So I like to crunch up a few of those too. Add them on the top. Mix it all in. And to show everybody that I'll even eat my own cooking, I'm going to have some of this chili. I guess I won't eat this whole bowl right now, but anyways, it's good. Chili is good for you. Breakfast, noon, supper, snack. Thank you for turning on and watching the Woodchuck Cookbook with Zach Pratt.